This is Hebrew Hits presented by jtriberadio.com. I'm your host, Malya, and I sit down with people who live by the motto, it's what you do with what you have that makes a difference. Welcome to the 39th episode of Hebrew Hits. I'm your host, Malya, and I'm so excited to introduce a very special guest. But before I get there, I'd like to kindly ask you if you can please go subscribe to Hebrew Hits Radio on YouTube. Please go follow Hebrew Hits on Instagram and Facebook at Hebrew_Hits. And while you're listening to this episode, please go follow. You're on the streaming apps. You're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, wherever you're listening. Just click the subscribe button and leave us a good rating. Well, I'm so excited to introduce the legendary Eli Levin to Hebrew Hits. Eli, how are you doing today?
Hey, Malya. Thank you for having me on.
Such a pleasure to have you, and I'm so excited to sit down and hear your story and how you were brought up. So, Eli, tell me a little bit about your background, where you grew up, and how it was to be brought up in the Levin household.
Okay, thank you, Malya. I am born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I've heard of other places. There was a tunnel to Florida, and you could get a plane to Israel, but I'm Brooklyn through and through. I'm one of 11 children. Big family. I grew up for the first 7 or 8 years in an apartment building on Avenue T in Ocean Parkway. So if anybody knows that building, shout out. Yeah, it's funny. I'm the third out of 11. I think my mother had 7 kids under the age of 7 at one point. Meaning when my mother would be walking around in the street with 6, 7 kids in a stroller or whatever.
Oh my God.
People would be like, oh my God, what a big family. And my mother would be like, I left half of them at home.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that was my being raised. It was always fun, wild, tons of action always. Kids going to emergency rooms was a regular thing. But yes, that was my childhood.
Did you always play music as a kid, or what was your first instrument that you were given?
I always played music. Ever since I was a little kid, I was obsessed. I remember there's actually a recording somewhere. I have to try to get a hold of it. My parents had this boombox back in the day that you were able to record on. Cassettes, tapes. I don't know if anybody knows what that is nowadays. But I would hide. It was in the closet. I remember locking myself in the closet, hiding. And I recorded over one of my mother's tapes of me just singing, making up random songs and stuff. I have to find that. That would be pretty funny to listen to now. But yeah, ever since I was a little kid, I was obsessed with singing, making shows, getting attention. I would always, if I found any instrument, I was messing around with it, trying to figure out how to make some music out of it.
Wow.
Started out with a little toy keyboard. And eventually I got a hold of a guitar. I think I found one in my grandmother's basement. And just on my own, I'd be busy trying to figure out how to use it, how to play. Then I read books and stuff. Eventually, I started using YouTube and just trying to figure out all the different ways to get better at my music.
Because when you were growing up, there was no such thing as YouTube, so you had to read the books.
That's true. YouTube was invented during my long lifetime.
Baruch Hashem. Well, I know that you mentioned that you grew up in a big family, Kanai Nahara. So I know that big families can be a lot of fun. You always do fun things. What was your favorite part of the year and why?
So my favorite time of the year was Purim. And that was because that was my opportunity to get out there and perform for people. Mm-hmm. I'd get dressed up and every costume always included the guitar. And I remember I dressed up like Shlomo Kalbach or Yossi Piamenta or just like a cowboy. And one year I was actually a cowgirl. I dressed up I called myself Jenny. And there's still a lot of people who know me as Jenny because of that Purim. That was a very transformative Purim, actually, because I remember I would go collecting for my yeshiva with a group, and we'd raised a lot of money because, like, a guitar, a singer, like we'd get into all the different houses much quicker, and it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
One year, I'm like standing with my group, and I felt like they didn't know what they were doing. Like we were wasting a lot of time just getting in the car. Like for a lot of the guys, being in the vehicle, like making music out of the vehicle was like a bigger deal. For me, I wanted to just get into people's houses. So I actually ditched the group, and I ended up getting in a car with some Hatzalah guys. Uh, and then I realized that Hatzalah guys really know where all the best parties are because they're getting the calls. They're like,
Right.
if Hatzalah's getting calls to come to a house, that's where you want to be. So um, we had the most amazing Purim, and I became very good friends with these guys. And every year after that, instead of going with my yeshiva guy groups, I would just go directly to this guy's house, Mendy Braun. Shout out to Shani and Mendy Braun. I would just go to their house, and we'd have the best Purims. Um,
Wow.
but yeah, that's because like Purim was just my chance to perform in front of people when normally, there was no such opportunity. Now, Baruch Hashem, I'm getting my fill of performing in front of people regularly. But then that was the highlight.
It's amazing that you were brave enough to do that, as a young boy.
I was never shy. I was always like just figuring out more and more ways to get attention. That's how I
Oh,
always was. Yes, I was a big attention guy. And to the point that like my poor rabbeim and teachers, they really had to put up with a lot. I would always be getting in trouble in yeshiva because, like, I was just making jokes in class, making a lot of noise, being very annoying. My poor older brother would come home so super embarrassed.
wow.
Uh,
Are you
but
still like that to this day? Like always trying to get attention and whatnot?
um, yeah, like it's different though. It's different because I think because of the amount of attention I guess I get from the
Mm-hmm.
music, it's sort of like calmed me down.
Mm.
But but no, of course I still appreciate. I think really everybody appreciates attention. They just also have shyness to like compete with
Right,
that. But
right.
I don't have that for some reason. So
You don't have that shyness.
no.
We all know that, I mean, many of us know that you come from a family of Levim and that music was big in your house. You also have many musical relatives. You know what I'm saying? And I see where you are right now. You're popular, you're big, people know your stuff,
Thank you.
you're always out there with these gigs. This is my question for you. This is a serious question. Why did you not start music as a full-time career right away?
It's just the type of thing that like it's not. I don't really know exactly the answer, but I'm saying it's a lot of people. I think, and this happens a lot. People reach out to me and say, "Oh, let me play a song for you. I wanna get into the music. What do you think? Do you think I have what it takes?" And I always say to them, "Well, get out there, put it out there, start getting your material in front of people and see if there's appreciation for it." And a lot of people, I guess it's that shyness or uncomfortable to like put themselves out on the line and say, this is what I am, this is what I'm doing, for them to like be rejected potentially. So I think people have to jump over that hump and say, this is what I want to do, like I'm here, you
Right.
know. I went through so many different levels until I actually made my Instagram account and said, this is what I'm doing. And I think that's sort of where it really took off. Like I had been doing events for a lot of people by word of mouth, but like here and there as a side hustle.
Right.
And at a certain point, uh, I, things happened in my life, and I decided this is what I'm doing, and I just put it out there, and that's when things really took off.
So how long would you say right now you've been doing music full time? How many years?
I think it's around 4 or 5, maybe even more, 4 or 5 years that I've been doing this full time, and
Wow.
it's been incredible. Like I'm so thankful. I love it.
So you've been doing this for 4 or 5 years, and you focus on private events, right?
Uh, uh Yeah, a majority of my events are simchas, parties, people's private events.
So what has been the coolest place that you have been hired to play at?
I've been at some really cool places. I just recently got back from Africa. I went to Kenya with a group, and it was like insane. It
I followed
was,
that vacation on Instagram.
yeah, I post like nonstop. A lot of the guys are like, Ellie, can you stop? I'm getting too many messages. My wife knows too much. But yeah, but it was insane to be sitting in an open Jeep right next to a lion that just came from a kill. Like you could see the blood on its mouth. That was like, and as it walked towards me, I sort of like was like getting scared under his like eyes, like his gaze. Like it looked like if he just wanted, he would just scoop me out and eat me. And just being in that was terrifying but awesome. And we watched a whole bunch of different scenes of different animals. We saw a group of lions staking out a warthog, and it was like, this is real, you know?
Wow. You
Mm.
even like petted an animal or something, right? I saw like on your Instagram.
Yes.
What
Yeah.
animal was that?
It was a rhino. It's actually one of the three rhinos. I believe that they were telling us that they're the last three of this species, and they actually
Wow.
have it in a conservatory because they're trying to figure out how to help it propagate again. And that's the only reason why I was able to touch it. Otherwise, if I would get out of the car, it would have, like any normal rhino, would have attacked me. But
Right.
the most surprising thing is that what it felt like. Like when I saw it, I would envision it having a certain like leathery, flexible feeling. Instead, it was like it felt like I was touching like earth. Like it felt like hard and like
Really?
solid. Yeah, like there was no movement. There was no give.
Wow. Really? That's so interesting. So this you were hired to go on to Kenya with like a bunch of guys and you played your music on the way. Is that what you did?
Yeah, yeah. I was hired to meet them there and perform, like, to Fabring with them. It's a group of Heimish friendly guys that I know from before, and the goal was to just add a good Fabringing vibe to the trip. And I've done a lot of these types of trips. Thank God, I love it. Every time it's like such a great opportunity and experience.
Hmm.
I've been to Cuba with a group, with Iceland. I've been,
Wow.
yeah, some really, really cool places.
So your job is
And
not only musician, it's also you get, vacation. Like literally, it's awesome. You get to travel the
yeah,
world.
thank God. We should continue to see this bracha.
Yeah, I also see that you post about your daughter. She's adorable. She also has a necklace or something, bracelet, mask
Mask
chain.
chains.
Is
Yes,
Matt,
she's
you
a
want to
little
give her a shout
entrepreneur.
out?
I actually don't because I think it's taking up too much time for her. She's a little schoolgirl. She has to be focused on all her work. But but yeah, thank God she's the joy of my life. She's everything. She's adorable and smart and very musical. And I love to have her sing with me.
Mhm.
I posted a couple of clips of us singing together. She is so talented. It makes me so proud.
I've seen those clips and they're really moving. They're beautiful. Do you ever take your daughter on gigs with you if you travel the world? Would you take her along?
Yes, I've had her on several of my trips, especially Yamim Tovim. Like,
Mhm.
I'd go to different programs for Yom Tov, and I'd have her. And I've gone to Utah skiing with a group for Hanukkah, and I'll bring her along. She's an expert little skier. People actually like tell me like, "Hey, bring your daughter along." Like it's the
Really?
type that like everybody recognizes, like, my life situation. I'm a single dad. I'm divorced, and Lonnie loves to come along when it's a fun trip.
Hmm. Is it hard for her though? If you're working, who does she hang out with?
She's very independent. She has an iPad,
Oh,
and
okay.
that's more than any parent could be. Um, so
All
she
right.
figures out how to keep figures out how to keep busy, and she does a lot. We do a lot of fun activities whenever we're out, so it's cool.
That's really cool. It's definitely awesome that you could be like, like as a dad, taking your daughter and having that daughter time is probably really special for you as well. Now I want to ask you this question. If you could close your eyes and dream of, like, close your eyes, this is the gig that I want. Like, what would be your dream gig?
It's funny. I don't think like that. I take it
Really?
as it comes. I don't really like hope that to be in any specific place.
Mm-hmm.
It's it to me like, and this is just maybe my nature also. Like I'm not aggressive. Not very ambitious. I just I like doing what I'm doing. I love it, and if it keeps on going on like this, I'll be so happy. I just want to to appeal to people, that people would appreciate what I'm doing, and
Mm-hmm.
appreciate what I bring to their party, their simcha, their trip, or whatever. And however it goes, I'm gonna keep rolling with it.
You never thought like, oh, I want to perform for Donald Trump or for Bibi Netanyahu, no?
No, on that wavelength, I think I'd love to perform with Isha Ribo. I've never met him
Mm.
yet. I think he's awesome. And Lahavdil Elif Halfe Havdalas, I'd like to sing with Ed Sheeran. I think
Wow.
I'm a big Ed Sheeran fan.
Ed Sheeran is great. And it's the similar type of music as what you play and you sing. He's also, moving, inspiring, that kind of
Yeah,
type
I
of.
think he's like a big role model for me, like in terms of the way he writes, the way he sings. He's very eloquent and meaningful. And same for Yishai Riba. I think he's a brilliant writer,
Yeah.
and I love him. I think he's awesome.
So Ellie, you basically have celebrity status in the Jewish world. Come on, you know you do. Come on, yeah, you know.
I'm still a
So,
basic bacha from the Bronx.
but how does it make you feel when people think that they know you and your family before ever meeting you?
That is pretty interesting, and it happens pretty often. Um, and what's scary is that I have a bad memory in terms of like, at a certain point, like I used to think I remembered everybody, but then like I
Mhm.
started realizing I really don't. And
Oh
then
my
it
gosh.
becomes confusing whether like I'm really supposed to remember this person, or it's just this person feels like they know me. And like, if I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, who are you? Gonna, I'm like, I'm your brother. No, it doesn't. That doesn't really happen, but like it could be pretty uncomfortable at times. And I just try to figure out how to be vague enough to like not offend somebody. But yeah, like it is a one-way stream. I'm posting a lot
Right.
and they're seeing my stuff, and I'm not necessarily seeing their stuff, or I don't know if they put out stuff. So it could be vulnerable, sort of.
So if you would
But
meet somebody and they would, say, "Hey Ellie," and you automatically realize that they're a fan. You don't know them, but they're a fan. How do you react?
I'm friendly. I'm a friendly guy. I always appreciate anybody who's, you know, enjoying and appreciating the music. So welcome. You know,
So you would say no one should be scared if they see you out on the street. No one should be scared to come say hello.
that's right.
So that's good. Now, I do want to talk about, like, many people go through, terrible challenges and they just can't continue to live in a positive way. And here you are putting out heartfelt music. And we all know the terrible tragedy that happened in your family. I personally know Elisheva. It was hard for all of us. And the entire mantra of the show, the whole main point of this entire show, Hebrew Hits, is it's what you do with what you have that makes a difference. So I want to ask you, how did you use this to make a difference in your life?
Yeah. Just to be clear, what we're talking about, like, like you say, most people in our circles know of my story, but like um, I unfortunately lost two siblings over the past several years to terrible tragedies, and it's crushing. It's really indescribable. Like, nobody should ever know it, and nobody should ever experience that kind of loss,
I mean,
and it's never really over. But like, I was speaking to you the other day. I think everybody deals with it differently, even within the same family. All of my siblings struggle with it in different ways, but and my parents, of course. But my, like, nature in general has been to sort of compartmentalize everything, and this has been like my style for many years, well before this. If things are not working, if things are unhappy, I put it in a certain box, I guess, certain container, and I put it in perspective. I try to focus on the good stuff that are going on around me. And like we've been talking about, my life, I'm blessed, and I have so many good things going on in my life. And as much as these things are downers and terrible and they could really take you down, I don't let that control my life. And I think that we all, no matter what we're going through, we all have so many blessings. Just being alive on this planet, interacting with amazing people on this planet, having all the different experiences and pleasures that are available to us in this world. That's something that should be the focus. And you know, take time to think about the stuff that are, rough. But don't let that be the main display. Don't let that be the main focus of your life.
So did
That's
it take you a while to get to that realization or thought
uh
process?
I don't know if I've like always thought it out. I think as I'm looking back, I see that that's the way I deal with things. Um and it's mostly probably been subconscious. And it's also interesting, like, like at the time we were all crushed and it was very intense. But even within that first week, it was still very different to see how different people reacted. But it's also interesting to me that down the road, like as time went by, different moments hit me in ways, and I experienced them in ways that I hadn't experienced it in the beginning. And I'm sure that as different times in my life will continue to fall out, I will have reactions to them in different ways. But the main thing that I think is that there's so much good that we can focus on, and I will continue to do that.
And your family has all come together even closer after all this? Like you guys are all there for each other, support each other?
Definitely, definitely. We love to try to get together, and you know, we're there for each other, and we should continue to be.
Yes. Wow. Okay. Have you ever written any songs for your brothers?
Yes, I did write a song, and it was very long in coming. Like it took a while till I could. I remember after my brother Ari passed away, different times when I was in a zone, I was trying to channel it to like come up with something to sing in his memory, and it never felt right. So I would always just drop it. And after Yisrael, also nothing. But then one weekend, I was in this zone thinking about, like, it just was hitting me hard. And I started coming up with something. And right after Shabbos, I sat down and wrote it out and performed it. Like I sang it here in the studio. And it's called "You Are Never Too Far." It's a song. I'm gonna try to share it with you so that you can share it with everybody. The concept is that sometimes it feels like when you lost a loved one, you're scared that they're gonna fade away and be gone. And the reality is that no, that they never will. Like you're so connected and attached to these people that they're there, and they're always there, and at different times you get hit by it and it affects you and you feel it, and sometimes you're not feeling it, but like they're there. So you are never too far, referring to my brothers, you're always
Mhm.
with me.
And we're going to play that on the show right now. Here is You Are Never Too Far by Eli Levin, written as a zechus. You want to say their names?
Yes, Yisrael ben Libed Varachava and Aaron ben Libed Varachava, and Elisheva as well, Yisrael's fiance, who he was going to marry shortly after. So let this be a chus for them. Let their neshamas have an aliyah.
And I listened to it last night, and I was it last night, tonight, whenever you sent it to me, maybe 2 nights ago, and I showed it to my mom. I was like, wow, like it was just, it's very, you feel it, you feel the song. And how would you say, like, how are you doing now? How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank God. I'm, life is very nice, thank God,
Hmm.
and I'm feeling good.
Yeah, Baruch Hashem. I mean, it's amazing. It's really incredible how far you've come, and your father is inspiring the world with his, he has 10K, what is it? It's called
Bate
10K,
Yisrael.
10K Bate Yisrael. It's incredible what he's doing.
Yeah, my father started a movement. It started from at the Levi. He actually got up and said, Hashem is taking my child, but give us a payment sort of. And what my father was asking for was to see Simchas and Klal Yisrael. And he, I'm one of 11 kids. My father went through the struggle of doing a lot of shidduchim, and he recognizes that so many people are living in a way that they're terrified. Are they going to find their shidduch, and that they're struggling, and years are going by. And a big focus my father is focusing on is older shidduchim, to try to figure out ways to introduce people to each other. So go check out 10K Bate Yisrael. It's an amazing site with that emphasis.
Do you know what number he's up to yet? You have any idea?
I don't remember offhand. I know it was. He has a metric sort of that he believes it's like a shidduch a week that based on the amount of time that it's been out there and the amount of shidduchim that have come out. It's a very nice progress.
Wow, that's incredible. Really incredible.
Yeah.
So I also know that you write your own music. So which song would you say is your favorite song you've written, and what is the backstory behind the song?
So I recently released my album, Hear My Prayer, and it's mostly a cover album, meaning I've taken songs that I believe are some really heartsick, moving songs that I perform a lot at the events that I do. And two of the songs on the album I wrote, and one is called Lord Hear My Prayer, and
Mhm.
the other one's called Yehi Ratzon. Lord Hear My Prayer came to me when I was on a trip with a group in Poland. We went to Majdanek, which is one of the concentration camps, and we're in this camp where hundreds of thousands, not millions of Jews had been exterminated. And there's barracks that are that are still like, it could be that they were rebuilt as a, I believe that they are the original. I know certain concentration camps they rebuilt, but there's a display of hundreds of thousands of shoes, and you're in this barrack and you're looking at these shoes. I'm looking there and I see small shoes, big shoes, expensive looking shoes, torn up shoes, and I see these one pair of shoes that looks like for a little child, and I'm thinking this could like fit my daughter Lonnie. At that time she was like 5 years old.
Oh.
And it struck me like, imagine like I'm in this time and my daughter is being torn away from me and I have nothing to do. I'm powerless. And the feeling of powerlessness was so intense for me. I couldn't imagine what these people went through. And I walked out of the barrack. I was holding my guitar. The rabbi was speaking in there, and I like just started strumming and humming this tune of Lord Hear My Prayer. And that's where this came from. I do plan on making a music video for this song because I really connect to it so much in a way that I want people to feel the meaning behind this song. But the words Lord Hear My Prayer is Hashem Shema Tfilasi. It's from Tehillim, And the amount of times that I've said that kapitel tehillim without actually realizing that what I'm
Mhm.
saying. That's why I wanted it to be in English and like make that connect.
Mhm.
And then in the middle of the song I add in the Hebrew, but the focus was on the English.
Do you have an idea for what you want the music video to look like?
I do. I do. I don't know if I want to share it yet, but I am looking for somebody to collaborate with me on this project, like, filmmaker, to make a really nice production for it.
So if any filmmakers are listening, go DM Eli Levin Music on Instagram. Well, let me ask you this question: can I be in your music video? A
Yes.
little Molly, just pop
Yes.
in. Yeah.
We'll get a Malya introduction in the video.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Listen, I'm gonna when you make that music video, reach out and say, "Hey, Molly, we're shooting. Come for 5 minutes. Pop in and get in the music video."
Okay. Sounds good.
Ellie, Ellie, I think it's time for us to play your song, Lord, Hear My Prayer. Do you want to introduce it for everybody?
Yeah, Lord, hear my prayer. This is the song I was talking about that I composed in my Donic. We are in a rough time now. A lot of people have lost loved ones in this pandemic, and um, it's always a good time to pray. So open your heart and listen to this song and try to connect. And may we be zochet to see a complete refuah from this pandemic, and may life go back to normal, and may we be zochet to Mashiach and make our way to Israel all together.
Amen. Amen. Here is Lord, Hear My Prayer by Eli Levin right here on Hebrew Hits. How do you stay so humble and so real? You're a very genuine person.
Um, I I thank you, and I just feel you know I feel like it's almost silly to get carried away and drink the Kool-Aid, sort of. I look around at some of, like, entertainers and performers, and when they seem to be self obsessed or whatever, it feels pathetic.
Mhm.
Meaning, like, yeah, like I do something well, let's say, and people appreciate it, but that doesn't make me any better of a person. Just, because something is working well for me, it doesn't make sense to make that I should actually, like, even though some people do react that way, like they think of you as bigger and better than you are just because of what their perception of you is. That's
Right.
not reflective of reality. That's just what their perception is. That's what the hype is. So the reality is we're all regular, good people, and God forbid, I would hate to let that get to my head.
That's very cool that you're able to do that because people who are known and have, let's say, quote unquote, fame, celebrity status, they get to their head and they think they could do whatever they want. And, they think everything in the world revolves around them, where you're showing that, you believe that everybody is just a person, you're just a person, and it's very cool. I'm very impressed.
Well, thank you.
So before we go, you have already shared with us so much wisdom. Is there any other piece of advice that you can share with us?
Um, I think I'm just going to go over the two concepts that I think we were talking about. That number one, if you have a talent, if you have something that you believe can, be good to be shared with the world,
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and do it. Like, put it out there. Nowadays we have so many platforms to be able to share your talents and skills. Malya, what you're doing right now is really, really impressive. The fact,
Thank you.
you're just taking it and running with it, and being aggressive and making it happen. That's unbelievable, and you should be very successful with it.
Amen. Thank you.
Um, and same to everybody. Go ahead and share your talents. Number two, the focus on um, making your emphasis on the positive. And so many people are struggling with insecurities, with anxieties, with depression, and I really believe that like it's obviously whoever's dealing with it has different struggles, and it's not necessarily up to them, but have the knowledge that so much of it is in your head.
Mm-hmm.
So much of it is because you can't see out of your bubble. And if you recognize that the good is there, there's so much good. Focus on the good and let time pass. You'll be able to get through that rough patch, and you'll be able to appreciate life that much more. Life will get better.
That's such a good thing to say because so many people focus on the negativity. But if you, yes, people are going to have negativity and challenges in their life. But if you focus on the positive, that's really what makes all the difference. You just listened to the 39th episode of Hebrew Hits. Eli, thank you so much for being here and taking your time to come on the show.
Thank you, Malya. Thank you for having me.
If people want to contact you, how can they get in touch with you?
The best way is probably my Instagram at Eli Levin Music. Give me a message there. And I have a website, elilevinmusic.com.
Amazing. Guys, go check out his website and go follow him on Instagram. If you liked what you just heard, please follow us on all your favorite streaming apps. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube at Hebrew Hits Radio and go follow us on Instagram and on Facebook at Hebrew_Hits. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We'll see you next week, same time, same place.
Adios.
Eli, thank you so much. Oh, okay. I was like, just put on silent. Welcome to the 39th episode of Hebrew Hits. I'm your host, Malya, and today I have the pleasure. No, that thing.
Oh, okay, fine. I'm sorry. I think on my computer.
Oh, there goes again.
My WhatsApp is on my computer. Okay, I think that should get rid of it. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Let's start again.
Okay. From the top. I love this. I'm really going to make bloopers out of this.
That was my childhood.
Welcome. Can you lift the mic up a little closer to your mouth? It's a little lower.
Okay. I'm not sure.
Does it stay up?
It's being too heavy, I think. Let me try.
It's not being as loud as it could be.
I'll try to speak closer to it.
It's better when it's closer because it was like making your voice a little bit lower.
Hold on. I think I could. Is this better? Did that raise the volume?
I think it did. Now you don't have to hold it. We've got Eli Levin here, right here on the show.
Trying to make a good setup for Malya's Zoom. Together we're gonna excel.
It's gonna be the best episode yet.
Positive about that. I just knocked my headphones.
Oh, okay. I was like, that's such a good thing to say. Hold on. You hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. It's the 5 sounds. We'll let it pass. It's a little bit low.
Okay. So
is it showing red lights on your
How
potentiometer?
Potentiometer. It's showing that it's peaking, so I don't know if it's gonna sound distorted or not.
So go a little tiny bit lower then. Go a little tiny bit lower.
Okay, fine. I think it's fine now.
Yes,
okay, sounds cool. I like it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That potentiometer, I like that. I once had to solder a potentiometer, so I think I went up to you there.
I don't know what that means.
Okay. Choppy or whatever.
It's recording. It's gonna go on the show.
Okay, but do you hear? Is it choppy or is it coming in and out?
No, it sounded really good to me. I'm not a guitar player, but it sounded good.
Okay, cool.
Sounds really good.
Okay. Excellent. So I think we're going to keep this setting, but